can allow yourself to pause, because there's always so much more you could draw, you could make a representation of. Isn't that the case? In Chicago, we have all these paintings from the Impressionist school and the Cubist school. These are a very nice contrast to have. Those people that don't really like to draw or think they can't draw, all you got to do is go look at a Picasso, and you go, I can draw. I know there's genius there, but it still inspires me to not worry about my drawing. And the other, the Impressionists, if you get too close to the picture, it's just kind of muddy colors. And as you step back, this thing happens where it gets clear. You go, oh. And you can keep adding more distinctions, like the example we talked with Leslie. Now, I said you could write down the goal. In fact, I noted that in the study, which there is, and it's called the Longman study, which was of graduates of Yale and Harvard. It was those Eastern schools, and it was done during the same time that Ted Kennedy was an undergraduate. So if this prejudices the results, I don't know. But what they found was that people that wrote down their goals, which was a small percentage of the group, got more results than all the rest of the class by their own measures, whether it was financial success, career success, relationship success, and I mean by having the relationship they want, having the life they wanted, than all the other classmates combined, which were the vast majority. That's externalization. Now, we know now that writing stuff down and that auditory is hemispheric. It's only one hemisphere, usually typically the left hemisphere, although women can do a little on both sides. We knew they're more flexible than us, didn't we, gentlemen? Whereas the right hemisphere is about color, about shape. And so by having you draw a goal and actually putting it on the outside and writing it down, instead of having a half-brain goal, you've got a whole-brain goal. So you might want to adopt this in other circumstances as well. Yeah, no reason going off half-brained. Now, I have an exercise in mind, but before we do that exercise, I want to demonstrate one of the presuppositions of NLP and also how we're already beginning this course called Metaprograms. Communication is redundant. You do agree with that? Communication is redundant. You do agree with that? But there are other ways that communication is redundant. We talked earlier about how people have a leaning into activities or noticing things or information or place or people, and that they like that and they go there more often depending on their own personal history, their own experiences. I'd like you to take a look at your picture and find out which of the content meta programs your picture is showing the most of. And with your permission, I'd like to bring a few of those pictures up to accentuate that, for people to really notice that you can't not be communicating these fundamental distinctions of yours and everyone else's experience. Can I show yours? And what we have here, and again, it's not about how beautiful the representation is or how Picasso-like. It's about a reminder for you. God, people have so many rules that keep them from helping to get them what they want. Some friends of mine, what they do is they cut pictures out of magazines and use that to make the picture, just because they're afraid to draw, but at least they make the pictures. They get them on the outside. So thank you for drawing. And what do we have here? We have place. We have places, and we have things, vehicles for going to different places. We have a home, we have a car, we have a cruise, we have water. We have some people there too, and we have places. Well, we've all got to use one of these. You can't not make a distinction about the object of the sentence, right? I'm going to go someplace for lunch. I'm going to go eat chicken. I'm going to go out running, and then I'm going to get some lunch. In any case, you're going to go and do the thing, right? You're going to go to the place. It's whether you notice that more. And Paul, in your case, you notice that more. And another picture here, if I may. What do we have in this picture? Things. Now, I don't know what these represent. These might be people, they might be resources, and I'm not even going to ask. That's for the person who set the goal. We have here a little smiley face, so I think we have some bit of, things and people mixing, and yet clearly there's some sense of, oh, that's interesting. Yes, you were saying? And what would make you think there was activity? Well, that's the thing. How do you draw activity? This is by a big cartoonist problem, and you get very different solutions in the mangas, the Japanese comics, than you do from Spider-Man and Batman and so forth. But what's the typical way people draw activity? Yeah, these lines. So once again, just like I showed in our pie chart here, people are not doing one of these, and they do have leanings. Very often you'll see two content metaprograms combined. For instance, isn't that lovely? And we've got people, we've got a hand, this obviously is a living person, and yet within that we've also got a heart, the heart symbolizing feeling between people, and here the world. What would it be? Just a lucky guess? A place? Yeah. So you can each look at your pictures and begin to get a sense of your metaprogram leaning in relation to this goal. I want to be clear about that, is that metaprograms can change by context, and for certain people in certain contexts they do. There's a tendency, though, to go to those we're most familiar with, to utilize them more often. As I said, somewhat jokingly, but completely honest, that the people who wanted to lose weight wanted to get more information about it, because that was familiar. They knew how to do that. And so in that way, even thinking about your goals the way you do, you're likely to do them in the way you know how to do them. And yet there might be very different goals, might be financial goals, might be goals in terms of a life plan or career that you might do quite differently. That's entirely possible. And it's interesting to get curious, to let yourself think of it the way you do, to draw it the way you do, and see how it comes out. Can I show one or two more? Yours was wonderful there. Here we go, even more symbolic, but what do you think? Well, you get like the roots? Yeah? So often we think of people, but really it might be about living things, things again showing up. And then we've got this, and as you said, suggests movement. So I don't even know, but I can look at this and wonder about perhaps a groundedness, and a sense of display. What I want to just get at is thinking about the content. What does it suggest? This is about things. I don't think so.
There's some prettiness of it's flowery with beauty.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like some sort of a plant.
And where do plants stay? In a place. In a place. So sometimes you wonder a little bit about these, and you discover all sorts of things. And sometimes, well, you just need to ask. Yeah, I'd start out. Yeah, perhaps activity here might be suggested by this. Perhaps some sort of connectedness. Would you tell us something about this? You don't have to.
It's actually like a lot of everything. I'm not exactly 100% sure.
Now,
For me, it's personal growth, but that's my outcome is personal
Mhm.
growth, but that means so much to me. That's like, as you were talking about the drawing, I wasn't sure why I was drawing when I was drawing the house,
mm-hmm.
but then as I drew it, it's like, oh, activity. I mean, all of these things are important to me for personal growth right now.
Yeah. Now, this is not a therapeutic or counseling or coaching interaction. But do you hear what she said? She's not sure. And doesn't this reflect kind of a mixing of distinctions? That if she were to make them sharper, much like we talked about earlier, the example of Leslie with her client, she could become clearer about what it is she wants. So you begin to see how this distinction relates to submodalities and relates to metaprograms and relates to representing our content. Now, ecology. It might be very important for you now to be unsure, to still be in a state of wondering. And I want you to enjoy that, and thank you for letting us take a look at your picture.
I'd like to make a comment on that.
Yeah.
If I might. It sort of looks like there's that the top portion is like maybe a face or the mind,
Mm-hmm.
and all of the thoughts and everything that are in the mind, and those lines down towards the bottom of what's going out to the body.
Yeah? No? Maybe? No? What the frog's eye teaches the frog's brain. You go, I know what that means. It looks like a brain. Or maybe it looks like a postman walking down the street. Or maybe it's a dog chewing a bone. I only make fun because we all do it. We all do it. So now that you know a little bit more about your goals, why don't you kind of chew that over lunch? Digest a little bit of this morning. Bring back your questions. Bring back yourselves. We have some activities to do. Thank you.